Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Going to go live today. Looks like we're getting pretty close to hiring a defensive coordinator. And because these things happen so quickly, I was like, I'm going to record a video about this. And I thought, well, let's see. By the time I'm working through the edits and doing all that crap, it's going to be 2 or 3 hours. And by the time I do that, he may already been hired. So rather than waste 2 or 3 hours of work and then have to restart, it looks pretty strong that we're going to pick up Ryan Walters out of Washington. Now, it's not a done deal, so cool your jets for just a second. But it definitely is looking that way. Pete Nakos is talking about it. Chris Lowe. It's all over X, of course. And we're going to talk about that. Of course, Tim Banks was let go for obvious reasons. It was a struggle. This year was terrible. And Vanderbilt kind of finished the defense off this year. It was it was next to last in the SEC, giving up about 30 points a game, which is, you can't do that. I know we score 40, but you can't give up 30 because realize when you get to 40, it's a lot of the easier teams. So anyway, this is why Tim Banks had to be let go. In 21, he basically regressed all the way back to year one with total defense. And that was, why a team like Tennessee that was leading in the SEC in offense didn't make the playoff. Well, you've got to stop people too. It's great to score. Don't get me wrong, but you got to stop people. So unfortunately, we weren't doing that. Let's pull up and see what everybody's saying on X. It looks like it's getting super close. Let's see. The Husky fans, if you want to know what they thought of him, the Husky Hall gave him a B+ last year. They averaged 20 points a game. And Tennessee averaged about 30. They gave up 30. So he was about 10 points better. It talks about when he was at Illinois, they went from 97th in scoring defense to 29th. And then in 2022 to the number 1 scoring defense and number 2 total defense. So he's had a lot of success. He had success at Missouri as well. So he's definitely been around a while. Got a very proven resume. I agree with that statement. Here's Joey P. That's the chat sports guy, right? I've been watching some of his stuff. He's new. Talks about it. They're trending to the Vols. He's coached with up-tempo offenses, which that's pretty interesting. Goes through the 2025 numbers here. And he did well against Ohio State. And also Oregon. I think he gave up like 26 points, I think, to Ohio State and 24 to Oregon or vice versa. So nobody routed them. We didn't have – I'm telling you, that Vanderbilt game was the end for me. That's when I was like – and I'd been trying to have empathy for the injuries and losing our 2 cover corners and all that. And I understand that was significant. But after what Diego did to us, and we didn't put a spy on him, and the defense looked like this.
Pain! Pain! Pain!
Yeah, that's the whole game. That was me during the whole game, too. That's all. I just felt pain. And watching Diego had 500 yards by himself. Throwing and running 500 yards. Okay, he's not Superman, but he definitely had a cape on that day. So maybe he is. I don't know. But that finished the defense pretty much. Let's kind of see what you folks are thinking. Well, I appreciate that, Rocky Top. That's kind of you. What are y'all thinking about it? Y'all feeling pretty good about Ryan Walters? Here's an Illinois fan says, happy to see this guy leave the conference. Well, that's a pretty good statement. That ought to make you feel pretty good, Tennessee fans. One guy excited for a new DC. I think this is a solid hire if he winds up getting him. I'm hearing that they're working on the contract, so they're making progress on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something today. Normally, you got to kind of do these things pretty quickly because, number one, the portal opens up in early January. I think it's January 3rd. And it runs for just a short period of time. And everybody's making decisions right now, retaining defensive players. You've got to think about Rodney Garner, make sure he's squared away. He's done such a good job on the line. I know this year, nothing went well on defense this year. It just didn't. Oh, I'm frozen up. Hold on. I'll fix it. Sorry about that. It happens, folks. That happens. There's something about live. It freezes you up. I know how to quickly fix it, though. I used to panic when that happened, and I was like, because I didn't do much live. But there are times when you've just got to come out and do this because, I wanted to talk to you also. I was listening to Tony Basilio on the radio, and he's on YouTube too, by the way. And he feels confident that they're going to be hiring this Ryan Walters. Now, he's not guaranteeing it. But usually when Basilio gets on something, you can probably count on it because he's pretty plugged in. He had all the Boo Carter information. You know, he's pretty plugged in. So that made me feel pretty confident about this as well. So anyway, I feel good about Ryan Walters. Let's see. I'm a ventriloquist. No, it's not the squirrels. It's Internet and Pigeon Forge, although it's much better today. I know y'all have seen many times I'll do live on the weekends, and holy crap. It's terrible up here because there's 10 trillion people come to Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg and Sevierville on the weekends, especially around shopping time. And I look like claymation. My body's doing this while I'm talking. It's frustrating. And it's just you got too many people on one tower. But most of them have gone home. They've gone back to their shanties, as Shooter McGavin would say. Let's see. Hire Lane as DC. I wouldn't trust Lane Kiffin as DC. You can't trust Lane. Of course, Lane is always the victim. Remember, he'll always be the victim. And as a matter of fact, the folks at Ole Miss, this is how they feel about Lane.
You don't talk to me like that. People are scared of me.
Why would anyone be scared of you? I hate you, you big fat turd.
I love that clip. It's so true. Ole Miss can't stand Lane. They literally can't stand him. And I mean, it's bad down there. And he has a way about him. I've told you, he's a bad breaker upper. And he makes people angry. It's just the way it is. So Ryan Walters, he's Washington. He coaches up there. He was at Illinois, also Missouri. He had one bad stint as the head coach of Purdue, but he's been successful as a defensive coordinator everywhere he's been, very successful. And this would be a nice pickup for sure, I think. I mean, it's not like you're going to be able to go up and take Indiana's defensive coordinator. That'd be kind of hard to pull off, especially when they're on a natty run. I'm telling you, Indiana. Whew, I didn't think they'd be able to handle Ohio State and keep them to 10 points. That really surprised me. That was pretty shocking. What a wonderful thing for a team that had a 31-year, and Ohio State fans, you're not going to like hearing this, but it's true. You can't have a 31-year streak on one team. That's just not fair. It's not right. And it's really a testament to how unfair and how unbalanced the Big Ten is. It's absurd for you to have a 31-year streak on a team. Okay? That's just crazy. And yes, we've had some teams that have done that, and Florida and Kentucky, but Kentucky's literally beaten Florida 4 of the last 5 years after losing 31 years in a row. And that's awful for a conference to have a streak like that. There's nothing worse. You got to have some parity. You've got to have some teams on the bottom occasionally rise up. Well, Vanderbilt's been the cellar dweller in the SEC, and they went 10-2 and got totally creaked out of the playoff, which is just, I feel bad for, and I know I shouldn't because of what Vanderbilt did to us, but honestly, they 1,000% deserve to get in, and there's absolutely no question about it. And I'm not happy about them being left out. I thought that was incredibly unfair. Everybody's talking about Notre Dame. Notre Dame doesn't have to play Alabama and Georgia and all these other teams that Vanderbilt has to. So anyway, and it's going to get much tougher folks, when we go to 9 games next year, and well, you heard Kirby Smart. I showed you that video. I did a video yesterday or the day before. I don't know. My videos are starting to losing it in my brain here when I did it. But he was pissed about the 9 games next year. And he's like, Greg Sankey, here's what Sankey's going to be dealing with next year when about 3 or 4 teams don't get in the playoff because of the 9 games.
Thank you for playing. Should we or should we not follow the advice of the galactically stupid?
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's going to be at least 3 coaches next year that are going to show up just like that to Sankey's office and throw and toss his desk. And I'm here for it. I want to be a fly on the wall when that happens. I'd love to see the coaches meet with Greg Sankey and talk about that 9 games. And I would love to be one of the coaches because I wouldn't hold back. I would tell Sankey exactly what I think. I see you're a damn idiot. The hell are you doing to us? But that's me. I wouldn't put up with it for 5 seconds. And then I'd get fired. But I would have had my say. And that's important. So, Ryan Walters, I'm pretty excited about this possible hire, folks. I am. I've looked into this guy. Very successful. And it's not just that he was successful. One thing I don't like is when you hire somebody because they had one good year. You can't go by that because it might have been, oh, well, I didn't have any injuries that year to speak of, or, I had a few great players that just happened to pop out of the portal. We saw that with FSU. They got a bunch of guys out of the portal, had one great year. Next thing you know, they've got Mike Norvell down there, and they've signed him to a $1 billion contract, and they're stuck with him. They're literally stuck with him, and they're not happy. So this guy's been solid for years. So this guy says, Vandy took the high ground. Look, I don't know that Diego Pavia and that family can take the high ground. But anyway, they haven't cried as much as Notre Dame. That is true. But Notre Dame, they did get creeked. And it surprised me because I didn't think Notre Dame, with that name brand recognition and the power they have, that they could get creeked. But they did, and this is how they're taking it.
So what I'm gonna do is piss and moan like an impotent jerk and then bend over and take it up the tailpipe.
You've been here before, haven't you?
I left a comment up there. See, live. See, these are the mistakes, folks. When I go live, you're going to have the occasional little thing that's just a little off. I do that. So that's why I don't do a ton of live. I don't like mistakes. But you folks don't seem to mind it. So you keep telling me to go live, and when I go live, you reward me. So I guess I'm just like a dog. Y'all throw me a cookie, and I'm over there just going, well, I've got to come back for another cookie. Did he get his invite to New York for the look? I would vote for him for the Heisman. I would. And I'm a Tennessee fan. I would vote for Diego. And I know he's a punk. All right. Didn't his brother get arrested after the game, getting all hammered? Anyway, yeah, everybody, okay. I'm seeing it here in the comments that y'all like live. Enjoy okay. I'm seeing. Look, this is the Burger King channel. Special orders don't upset us. So go live, be live. Yep. Nothing could be more true. What did it say here? Heupel needs to remember that offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. Didn't I see that on Becoming Your Parents with it's not Geico, it's one of those insurance companies. Dr. Rick says defense wins championships. Well, it does. Offense wins championships, but you do need defense too. It's they've made a few changes that have made it a little bit harder to go super fast. And of course, you don't get as many plays ever since the clock just runs, man. That clock runs in college football constantly. It's just, you go out of bounds, it runs. You get a first down, it runs. So I think they've basically become, we're kind of the NFL now. And the reason they said they wanted to do it is to get games over in a shorter period of time. But somehow they're not being, it hadn't shortened the games any. And I'm wondering if adding 27 commercials to every game. Have y'all noticed that you can be watching three games at one time, and multiple times there'll be commercials on all three channels, which you would think that's impossible. What are the odds that it happens all the time? Because they have punched in and stuffed commercials into our games, which I knew that's what they were going to do. I knew that was a trick. I did videos on it and showed you the stats on it. And it's just, they're just putting more ads in on us. So when the teams scream for more TV rights money, they ought to get it, because look, the cable companies are making plenty of money. Yeah. A lot of people have noticed it a long time ago that they're just punching and stuffing those commercials in there on us. So sped the game up, saying they were too long. Only that, exactly. I mean, they're no shorter, folks. They're no shorter, and we're getting, I think it's 8 or 9% less plays a game. So we're getting 8-9% less football, but probably 30% more commercials. So it is a commercial conspiracy. I'm all about a conspiracy. That's because a lot of times they're right. I know I would be happy to be SEC commissioner, and I'd do it for a lot less than that knucklehead. And here's the other thing. I wouldn't spend 20 minutes saying something that should take a minute to say. Sankey goes on these soliloquies, and he just talks and talks and talks, and you're sitting here going, what are you doing? Just say what you mean to say. What he meant to say when he gave that whole speech to all the other conferences is say, look, we've got a tougher schedule. Everybody knows it. That's why we're not moving to 9 games. But he didn't do that. He had to go through things like rigor. He used words like rigor. We had rigor, and some of you would say a power team. No, it's the Power Four. Everybody knows Power Four teams. And rigor. Nobody uses that word. It's tough. People know what that word means. It just, he does that kind of crap, and it irritates the crap out of me. Just use normal words, knucklehead. He's got to show off that damn PhD or whatever it is he's got. He's probably got one. Most of those guys do. That's how they get those jobs. Pavia, I'd say Pavia probably made $1.5 to $2 million, don't you think, this year? He was worth every penny of it. Worth every penny of it. Let's see. Diversity, transparency. Yeah. You don't see those words all that much, but he likes to use them. I'd love to kick Sankey to the curb. I used to like Sankey. I did, but he did a couple things that really irritated me. First of all, he waited 5 years to do something about Lane Kiffin's fake injuries. 5 years. And he finally, and I really think that me and all you folks out there did something about it, because I did I just started saying, okay, every game that Lane Kiffin pulls that crap on, which is every game he ever had in an SEC format, he would have 10 or 12 of those fake injuries. So I started just hammering it, doing videos on it. And those things went viral because you folks were sharing it. And all of a sudden, Sankey decided he'd do something about it after 5 years of letting that crap go on. So that was good to finally put a stop to that nonsense. And last year, you remember when Kentucky beat Ole Miss last year, and literally every time Kentucky had a splash play or got a first down, some cornerback or some safety would go down with a hammy. He'd pulled a muscle every time, and then he'd be back in the next play, just fit as a fiddle. And I showed you the video where the quarterback looked back at the running back and went, and that guy, he acted like he got shot. Classic. Let's see. Yeah, Mayo, that'd be isn't that the linebacker coach? Mayo? I believe he is. I think he's also working with Walters. And here's the thing. Heupel knows both of these guys. He's worked with Walters, and I believe he's worked with linebacker coach and at Missouri. If you'll remember, Josh Heupel was the offensive coordinator at Missouri, and he took Missouri from scoring, it was something like 17 points a game or 14 points a game to 33, like doubled their production and offense. And he did that for like 2 years. Then he got the head coaching job at UCF, and then they went to like 43 points a game for 3 straight years. Then he came to Tennessee. Tennessee was averaging 24 points under Jeremy Pruitt. We immediately went to 37, and then we went to 46. No, 39, and then 46 the next year, which that's when we had the number 1 offense in the country under Hendon Hooker. And then we had to go through the Joe Milton year, which we dropped down into the mid-30s. And that's also when they changed the clock. The clock rules changed. And then we had Nico, and it went up to about 37, 38. No, it wasn't that much, 33 or 34. And then we picked up 7 or 8 points with Joey Aguilar, which I've got a chart of that, but I've just pretty much told you what it was. But yeah, that was terrific. I loved it. So this looks good for Ryan Walters. I would say we're probably about 75 to 80% chance he gets hired in the next 48 hours. It might be during this live show right now. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. Y'all tell me if it happens the next few minutes. Let's see. Does he coach tackling? Probably. Man, I always hit the wrong one. Wrap up. Yeah, I'm sure he does. Appreciate that. Yeah, I've been trying to do some more lives. Y'all asked for it. And like I said, I'm not going to be stubborn. And you've rewarded me with good numbers. So, I mean, crap. I'm not good at it, but y'all seem to like it. So it is what it is. I prefer to have all my bells and whistles, but it is what it is. So I feel good about it. Hopefully, we'll find out in the next 24 hours. I really think the next 24 hours is going to be key. If we don't hear him being hired next 48, we've probably moved on, because these are the type of things that has to happen. Okay. They have to happen quickly, because if he stays at Washington too long, they'll start upping the money and he'll start having people in his ear and all that. And then you got to move on. You can't wait. It can't be a Lane Kiffin situation. See, Lane likes to linger and make you wait, and then put you in a really bad spot, and then be the victim. Oh, why would you rush me? I'm just a regular human being. This is a regular job. No, it's not a regular job. You know exactly the job you took. That's why you make 9, 10, 11, 12, $13 million a year, Lane. You know the deal. You got to make a decision. If you don't want to make a decision, don't become a coach. This is how it works. This is the time of year, at the end of the year, when everybody starts making their decisions. And Walters needs to say, yes, I'm going to stay at Washington, or no, I'm going to Tennessee, and be done with it. That's the life you chose. And you're getting paid like a king. All right. He'll probably get $2.5 million to come to Tennessee. He's probably making $1.5 million at Washington. So he'll probably get $500,000 to $1 million more a year coming to Tennessee. If I had to guess. I knew to see another thing that I do on live. I don't turn my ringer off. That's another stupid thing I do. Anyway, I think I've bent your ear enough here. I like this Ryan Walters hire. I think it'll be a good one. Hopefully we find out in the next, like I say, 24 hours. This afternoon would suit me just fine. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay. I'm going to try to get better at this live thing. Don't hold your breath.